And we're in Virginia Beach. And we walk in to a place called Buffalo Wild Wings. They don't have them here, do they? They got a Mongolian grill that's really good. Okay. So we walk in, and these kids are walking out. They're all drunk. They're college kids, you know. They're all like plastered. And I'm like, hey, man, I just want to tell you, Jesus thinks you're amazing. They're like, oh, yeah, dude. Thanks, buddy. And they walked outside, and I heard in my heart what they were saying when they were outside. And I'm like, and Chris went to the table, and I just turned around and I went outside. There's like six of them. But see, I got God. I'm telling you what righteousness does. See, it doesn't matter that they're reviling me and persecuting me. It's for righteousness' sake. I'm right with God, and I want them to be right with God. I want them to see a good and loving God. See, we've been given the ministry of righteousness, reconciling people back to a loving God. Jesus was given that ministry. And we've been given the same one. And part of that ministry is not imputing the world's trespasses against them. That's the ministry we were given. So I'm hearing all this stuff. And I walked outside. And I said, hey, guys. And by that time, Chris is on my tail, man. Chris is coming out. He's like, yeah. He's just funny, right? And a buddy of mine named Bob, he's there too. And he's just an amazing prophetic guy. And we come out there. And I said, hey, guys. I said, how you doing? They're like, okay, what do you want, dude? I said, I just want to tell you how much he really loves you, man. They're like, okay, dude, all right. Whoa, you know? And he's like, what's up? And I said, ma'am, you're going to school right now to be a teacher. I said, you chose elementary ed because you love kids. She's like, that is blanking crazy, man. And she's freaking out because it's true. Now, the other kids are like, what? I looked at the one boy and I said, hey, man. I said, you play sports and you hurt your left knee. He goes, no, I didn't. I go, oh, all right. I said, well, you're like a catcher, a baseball catcher. And he's like, yeah, I used to. I'm like, all right, dude. And I went to the other one and just went around and prophesied over all these kids, man. These revilers and persecutors. The love of God diffuses stuff, man. See, my motive isn't to try to teach them a lesson. And my motive isn't to give them a piece of my mind, because they shouldn't have said that. My motive is to give them Jesus. My motive is to love them. I'm going to say something and I want you to hear it right. The gate of hell is between our ears. My war is not against the people, but it's against it's their thinking, it's the thoughts, it's the thought processes that are in them. So they're thinking like hell. So is it possible that we can love the hell out of people? I'm being serious. You can love them so much that the goodness of God leads them to repentance to where they couldn't think that way anymore. Let me explain this. I am talking to these kids and they were rebuking and they were saying the meanest of things, the craziest of stuff, and people mock and scoff what they don't know. I went around and kept talking to these kids, and the one kid is like, oh, all right, dude. I said, hey, man, I said, look, I understand that you said that you didn't want me to pray for your knee. And I understand you said that, but I want to explain something to you. What I really hear in my heart is that something really bad happened to your dad. And because that happened, and all the other kids are like this. And I didn't go into detail. That's all I heard. And I said, something really bad happened to your dad. And I want you to know that God is your father, and he's really thinking about you, man. And he just looks at me and he goes, you can pray for my knee, dude. Love breaks people down, man. Because I don't have a motive, see? See, I'm approaching somebody. I'm not trying to get them. I'm not against people coming to church because I believe you should belong in a fellowship. But if I'm approaching somebody just to get them to come to my church, it could be selfish. I'm not saying it's wrong to invite people because I believe people need to be plugged in and be a part of a body somewhere. But the motive has to be love. When you walk away from them, they have to know that they've been severely loved with no strings attached. Are you with me? This kid, they're like freaked out. They're like, dude, you're the coolest guy, man. All these persecutors. This is awesome. So they're like, oh, man. And I gave them all hugs, and they went home. And we went in and ate, and Chris is like, yeah. If you knew him, you'd understand what I'm saying. He's like, that was awesome. Yeah. That's who he is, man. He's just a good guy. I love him. We walked in and we sat down and we ate. And we just carried on our conversation about Jesus. Because that's what we do. We fellowship. So I went back, went to sleep, woke up the next morning. When it's my turn to share in the morning, it's my session. We go in the morning to do the session. And Tom comes up, the guy that runs Power and Love. And he goes, Todd, you got to read this email. And I said, what? I came to Power and Love. You got to read this. And I read it, and I just started bawling. And I'm like, this is crazy. It said, last night you were at Buffalo Wild Wings. She said, and you talked to a group of kids. First of all, I want to say thank God for you. This is weird. I don't know how she connected the thing. I didn't tell them who I was from or none of that stuff. She goes, last night you approached a baseball player and you talked to him about his knee. And he tried to tell you that it wasn't wrong, but then you told him about his father. I want to let you know something. In 2004, his dad was hit and killed by a drunk driver. He said, and our family was pursuing God. But we've all been very mad at God, and my son has been suicidal. When he came home crying and told me about what had happened. And we all gave our life to Jesus again.